So if you're joining us, my name is Retro Leo, or Lenny Morris, the third, however you know me, and I'm joined by that fat samurai guy and Lady Phatblood, and we are going to be discussing the Alien films. Only the first two. We'll talk about the other ones some other time. As you can see right there, Alien and Aliens. Now, something that you guys will be very surprised to know about me is I watched the Alien films for the first time in February with that fat samurai guy and Lady Phatblood. So like way late bloomer on these movies, and I don't know what it is with me. I think once I realized how much I was into movies and all these things, there was this grip of films I hadn't seen yet. So finally we watched the Alien films, man. They got me to come over. And dude,
dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
After we watched the movies, and this is them revisiting the films a couple times. This is me watching them the first time. We're both sitting there, and I think it was me who said it or Preston or something. It was just like, what's the better movie? I think you asked. You said, so which one do you like better? And I was like, I don't know. In such a good way.
I know, it's hard.
The first movie was it was a slow burning,
And we warned you.
Yeah, and which is fine. Yeah, I love slow burns. And it was like a slow burn sci-fi horror flick. You know what I mean? That's what I got from it. Like real gritty sci-fi elements. Obviously, it was 1979. The shading and the color of everything, like you said, it was just very gritty, and it was just dark grays and blues and greens. And just, I pay attention to that stuff. It creates the mood, sets the mood and the tone for the film, God, it was just so good, And then to go from that film to Aliens, which was like a completely different type of film. It was directed by James Cameron, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I loved it, but I hated it for the first 10 minutes. And it's so weird that I did, but I think it was just because we watched them back to back, and I noticed so drastically the different directing styles, the color tones, the scene shots, the cinematography. I was like, oh, this looks like a True Lies film. And you're like, aha, it's James Cameron. I was like, oh, okay. It was just very different. And then once I was like, okay, this film isn't going to be, I just kind of in the moment was like, this isn't going to be the first one. So let's enjoy this for what this is. Action.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton, you know what I mean? Like, so I can't decide. If I had to decide if I had to actually pick one, I would pick Alien. I
am very surprised by that.
Yeah. I would say I liked Alien better as a film.
Wow.
As a film.
I'm surprised because you reacted more to Aliens.
I'm surprised to react to. And I was like, it was such a good movie. But it's like I just
classic.
I think I liked the first film better. It was just so, from beginning to end, everything about it was great. And Aliens from beginning to end, everything about it was great too. But it was just a different film. I think when I was younger, I would appreciate and be swayed more by action films, and now I think I'm more enthralled and intrigued and impressed by the psychological elements of films.
Yeah.
And so that's why I would watch that film and I was like, God, I cannot believe it's taken me my entire life to see this movie. And what do you guys think?
Man, this is so hard and difficult to do because I love both films.
Fuck.
On its own, the first movie could hold well on its own. Obviously, the second one is a sequel. It is a sequel. But, oh man, this is really hard.
Fuck.
But I know we're all gonna be different here, which is entertaining for our viewers. We don't always want to agree on everything, right? I'm gonna have to go, as much as I love the first film, and rewatching it again with you, I was noticing things differently and seeing things I never seen before. Well, we never watched something in years.
Right.
You'd be like, oh man, I just now noticed that, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna have to go with Aliens. I'm gonna have to go with Aliens as the better movie because they quickly recap what happened in the first first movie. So it's not like you're completely lost.
Right.
But the only reason I'm going with Aliens, as much as I love the first Alien, the only reason I'm going with Aliens is that everything iconic about Aliens, franchise, comic books, movies, toys, everything, comes from the second movie.
Right.
I don't know. I think critically acclaimed, the first movie, if that was the only movie that existed, I think over years and time, it would still be loved and critically acclaimed, but it may not have become iconic.
Right.
And it may not have branched out to the mainstream, letting more people know about what was cool about Aliens. And it wasn't until James Cameron came in here and people were like, holy shit, and blew everyone's mind. And when people talk about Aliens, when they talk about the franchise as a whole, all the movies, when they talk about it, Aliens was the film that brought them to the dance.
Yeah. And that's the same with Terminator. It's like the same James Cameron with Terminator. He did the same thing. Terminator 2 is when it really brought Terminator into the eyes of people's minds.
It's difficult for me to do, but that's what this video is about. So I'm gonna pick the second.
Wow. What do you think, Lady Phatblood? By the way, this is Okay, before you answer, the first Alien, 98% Rotten.
It better be.
And Aliens, 97%.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Oh shit!
First of all, they're two completely different genres. Sci-fi horror, sci-fi action.
Right.
I don't consider the second film, even though there are horror elements, clearly there are horror elements in Aliens, I don't consider Aliens a horror film.
Right.
It's more action and sci-fi than the first one is clearly a sci-fi horror film. And I, to say which movie is better, I would have to say, well, which one do I like better? Which is, even then, that's more difficult because, again, it's like, well, what are you looking for in a film?
Right.
I think kind of like you, when I was younger, I would have leaned more towards Aliens, just because there's more going on. It's just like more to look at.
It's an action spectacle.
It's kind of like when I was younger, and this might surprise you.
Okay.
I was more likely to say I liked Terminator 2 over Terminator.
Right.
But now that I'm, a little bit older and I like things that are a little bit more kind of slow burn and a little bit more psychological, I think I like the Terminator just a slight hair above Terminator 2.
Yeah.
I still love Terminator 2. Don't get me wrong. It's still one of the greatest films out there, but there's just something about the Terminator in that it's just a little more scary. It gets under my skin just a little bit more, but there's none of that. Like, I don't get scared by the T-1000 as much as Arnold, and the way he degenerates throughout the entirety of that film, where the T-1000 really doesn't until the very end.
When he's at the end of the film, when he's like crawling by the end of the first
there's something about that movie that just, even now, it's just like, that movie gets to me, where Terminator 2, that's just balls to the wall action, fun, iconic, okay? But Aliens, it's kind of the same thing, where it's all balls to the wall action. And don't get me wrong, I love a sequel that takes an established platform, which is what the first Alien had, an established base, and builds on it well. And that's what Aliens did. And I'll say this, I can never watch the first Alien film without then immediately popping in Aliens. Because even though, like you were saying, stylistically, two completely different films. You have the first film where you've got two aesthetics. You've got the ship, the Nostromo, and then you've got LV-246. You've got traditional sci-fi on the ship, where it looks very space truckerish, where it looks lived in, where it looks dirty, grungy, but it looks very human. And then you've got the planet on the ship, designed by H.R. Giger, all very alien looking, very foreign looking, two completely different aesthetics. And then you've got James Cameron's Aliens, which looks nothing like Ridley Scott's Alien. So aesthetically, they're two completely different films. But I can never watch one without watching the other in chronological order, because they just complement each other. Somehow, they complement each other that well. And story-wise and character-wise, the evolution of Ellen Ripley in those two films, it's just a masterclass on how to write a character. It's just a wonderful thing to watch.
Yes.
So, but I think it's like, when I go to pop in Alien, it just gives me like this, I can just sit back, I can absorb the atmosphere, There are so many moments where there's no dialogue.
Right.
You sit there and you have to just you soak in all the shots where you're just tracking through the ship, and you're just everything that you're gaining from the film, you're gaining visually. Even when you're first introduced to the characters, there's very little dialogue until they all are sitting around the dinner table and they're just talking to each other, shooting the shit. There's not even real conversation going on. They're just pieces of conversation that you're hearing. You hear them rag on each other or just like talk at each other, but you don't really know who they are yet, but you kind of start to glean who they are through all of that. I love shit like that. So just like a hair, I like Alien just a dash more. Just a dash. Again, I can never watch Alien without immediately watching Alien. So it's.
I honestly thought she was gonna go tie.
Really?
It's literally like that much.
It's so
literally it's like an eyelash.
Right.
It's so almost indistinguishable, but it's almost like a slight.
But does Aliens make you want to go right into 3?
For me?
Yes.
For me? Yes.
But
you have to remember, fun fact, when I was younger, there are 3 franchises that I can name off the top of my head that I watched completely out of order. Star Trek was 1, Hellraiser was the 2nd, Alien was the 3rd. I watched Alien 3 first.
Mass hysteria.
Oh, wow.
Alien 3 was the first Alien film I ever saw. I was a little bit lost, but I caught on to what was going on and I still enjoyed it. So by the time I went back and saw the first one and the second one, I put the pieces together and I was like, oh, okay, so it was hard for me to hate it because by the time everybody got to 3, they had all this history with 1 and 2.
Right.
So I understand why people who had all these characters behind them and who lived all this with them go into 3 and are just like, oh my God, fuck you, Fincher, you ripped my heart out. I get that.
Now remember, I haven't seen 3, so don't tell me.
I know. That's why I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I get it. But for me personally, I still love 3. I have a lot of love for Alien 3, and
I enjoyed the assembly.
I think you have a very unique situation though. Like, I watched Indiana Jones Temple of Doom first. Well, everyone's just swears to God Raiders of the Lost Ark is the superior film, and they're probably right. It probably is a better film. But Temple of Doom is just like so damn good to me for some reason because it was the first one.
Temple of Doom gets way too much hate.
Yes.
So we have that Phat Samurai guys, that and Aliens. Lady Phatblood and I are kind of in agreement that Alien is a better film, but these are very minute differences. We are like teeter-tottering on.
Like an eyelash.
Yeah. I don't remember 2 films connecting so well before. The way that they just literally picked right up. It was so seamless. Like it could have just been like we had just popped in disc 3. So I'm excited actually. When you said, are you excited to go into Alien 3 from Aliens? I am. I'm so excited. And
sweetie.
I'm going to be so let down.